What would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? Hello, curious minds. This question comes from a curious little night owl. Picture this. A kid wakes up in the middle of the night, pokes their hand around the door, and asks, what would happen if the Earth just stopped spinning? Now, instead of saying go back to sleep, I couldn't help but imagine the chaos that would unfold. So here we are. Let's dive into this wildly hypothetical, yet scientifically fascinating midnight question. What would happen if our dear old Earth just hit the brakes and stopped spinning? Spoiler, it wouldn't be pretty. In fact, it would be about as apocalyptic as things get. But let's explore the science behind it, one dizzying disaster at a time. Before we crash the Earth's party, let's remember that the Earth spins at about 1000 miles per hour. 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. That's right, you might not feel it, but every second our planet is zooming through space, spinning like a top. This spin is what gives us day and night. As the Earth rotates, different parts face the sun, lighting up our days. Now, imagine if the Earth suddenly slammed the brakes. What happens if all that momentum stops? Here is the thing. Even if the Earth stops spinning, we wouldn't. Remember that 1000 meter per hour speed? Everything not bolted down, trees, cars, buildings, and even people would suddenly be thrown sideways at that speed. It would be like hitting the world's biggest emergency stop on a roller coaster, except we are the one flying out of the ride. At the equator, where the speed is the highest, this would be the most dramatic. Imagine the wind. The atmosphere would still be moving at that speed, creating winds far faster than any hurricane on record, likely strong enough to level everything in their path. Now let's talk about the oceans. All that water isn't just going to sit still. If the Earth stops spinning, the ocean would sloosh over land, causing tsunamis and floodings on a scale that's hard to imagine. And since the Earth's spin affects centrifugal force, the water that's bulged around the equator would rush towards the poles, creating massive global tides. In a nutshell, coastal cities would be gone, and the redistribution of the oceans would make our current coastlines unrecognizable. Next up, say goodbye to day and night, as we know them. Without Earth's spin, we wouldn't have a 24-hour cycle. Instead, we would have one side of the planet facing the sun permanently, hello scorching heat, and the other side trapped in endless darkness. Goodbye sunlight. This would turn the Earth into a pretty extreme place to live. Temperatures on the sunlit side could soar, while the dark side would freeze over. If you're on the toasty side, you might get sunburn in record time. And if you are stuck on the dark, good luck finding warmth. It's like turning Earth into a two-faced oven freezer. Here's another kicker. The Earth's spin helps create its magnetic field, which protects us from deadly solar radiation. If the Earth stops spinning, the magnetic field could disappear and we would be exposed to cosmic rays and solar wind that could fry our atmosphere and cause even more havoc for life on the surface. Without that protective magnetic bubble, life on Earth would be in serious trouble. Alright, let's not sugarcoat it. Things would not look great. The combination of instant winds, global tsunamis, extreme temperature shifts, and solar radiation would make life pretty miserable. Most living creatures, us included, wouldn't stand much of a chance. In this imaginary disaster, surviving humans would have to adapt to the new Earth, which would probably involve relocating to areas with more stable climate, perhaps near the twilight zone between the eternal day and night sides, and figuring out how to protect ourselves from intense solar radiation. But honestly, it's hard to imagine a scenario where we would thrive after such a massive planetary shift. So that is what would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning. We would experience catastrophic winds, tsunamis, constant daylight or darkness, and the collapse of our magnetic shield. Not exactly the calmest bedtime thought though, huh? But here's the good news. It's not going to happen. There is no scientific reason for the Earth to just stop spinning out of the blue. So you can rest easy tonight, knowing you won't be flung into the sky at 1000 meters per hour anytime soon. That's it for today's episode of Midnight Question. I hope you enjoyed this apocalyptic, mind-bending journey into what might happen if the Earth hit the brakes. If you've got more curious, wild questions, drop them in the comments and maybe we will explore them in our next episode. I am Mari and this is Midnight Question.